In the last frames of the first part of the movie Sick Planet, the final numbers are given that if solid household waste were processed using the proposed technologies and not dumped in rivers and oceans, then in 9 minutes it would be possible to obtain tens of millions of kilowatt-hours of electrical and thermal energy, thousands of tons of pure carbon, as well as valuable powder metals and rare earth metals. Why has no one become interested in these amazing possibilities yet? We will try to understand this in the second part of the film Sick Planet, called Sick Planet. Fraudsters find when states lose. As the number of cities and their populations grew, there was a need for the collection and recycling of solid waste. Organic waste consisted of natural products such as paper, wood, cloth, leather, rubber. They were incinerated. The first incinerator in the United States was built in 1885 on Governor's Island in New York, New York. By the mid-20th century, hundreds of incinerators were operating in the United States. It was relatively easy to clean up the noxious emissions from burning natural products. The situation changed dramatically with the advent of plastics. Burning plastic waste produces extremely hazardous gases, comparable in their effects to chemical warfare agents. Deadly diseases are on the rise. Doctors are sounding the alarm. Politicians have been forced to pass laws tightening environmental requirements for harmful emissions from solid waste incineration. Engineers found new ways to rid the combustion products of dangerous gases. This increased the cost of incinerator equipment and the cost of operation. At incinerators in Germany, the cost of accepting waste for incineration reached €400 per ton. For some waste, it is €1,100 per ton. Developing countries cannot afford such expensive plants with high operating costs. Developing countries are faced with a choice: to build an expensive plant but not having enough money for environmentally friendly operation, to poison their population and the environment with toxic combustion products. Continue to dump garbage in landfills, setting them on fire from time to make room. Dump waste into rivers, which carry household waste into the ocean. It is no secret that trash dumps are often owned by local authorities, mafia. Landfill owners charge money for accepting waste. The cost is different, from $12 per ton in the capital of Kenya to €40 per ton in Bulgaria and €80 per ton in Greece. Landfill owners do not have to follow the progress and change anything. They have enough money to live on and to lobby for no change in waste management. Businessmen who recognize the possibilities of new technologies and would be ready to build modern waste processing facilities do not want to share the pie with the mafia. The high cost of incinerators and the ever-increasing cost of their operation leads to an increase in the payback period. The cost of electricity and heat generated by waste incineration is rising. Owners of incinerators use any opportunities to extend the life of incinerators. They prevent the introduction of new technologies whose cost of operation is dozens of times lower. To distract humanity from the sad thoughts associated with extremely expensive and environmentally unsafe waste incineration technology, the biggest scam of the 21st century was conceived: RDF, or refuse derived fuel technology. The magic was that the waste destined for incineration was pressed into granules. The deception was hidden in the statement that waste pressed into granules is absolutely safe to burn and releases more thermal energy. The release of pollutants during combustion does not depend on the shape of the burning element, but on its content. The release of thermal energy, on the amount and calorific value of the burned. In some countries, where waste dumps have reached threatening proportions, they believe fairy tales about the magical properties of RDF. According to an official, the EU commissioned a study by a British consulting firm, on the basis of which the development plan was waste management to 2030 was adopted. The study by the consulting firm says nothing about new technologies. As a result, the EU development plan is based on the 19th century technology of the pre-plastic era, waste incineration. Politicians ranting about the need to care for the future of the earth, about green technologies, not a word about the fact that it is long overdue to ban incinerators, which hinder the development of industry because of the unconscionably high cost of electricity and heat energy, hinder the introduction of new technologies of waste processing, and stimulate the disgusting colonial business of exporting hazardous waste to third countries because of the high cost of processing it. Waste treatment plants based on new technologies could work well in developing countries and process hazardous waste, including plastics. The payback would come from the production and sale of electricity, clean carbon, powdered and rare earth metals, and compost. Where electricity is cheap, plants could process the waste into methanol, dimethyl ether, fuel, ammonia fertilizer. New technologies refuse to be financed by banks. The deputy manager of a large bank responsible for innovations, after scrupulous clarification of reliability and profitability of new technologies, said, "I cannot risk depositors' money. I will finance the old, known-to-me technology of incineration." It is easier for a banker to do nothing than to take minimal risk. That developing countries won't be able to have incinerators, he doesn't care. He is not responsible for the fact that his indecision will lead to total, catastrophic pollution of the earth. But bankers are obliged to do something about it. Bank representatives show up in developing countries with certificates for $1 million, euros, pounds sterling. Donate $1 million to local environmental organizations. They take pictures with environmentalists and leave with a sense of accomplishment. $1 million for an environmental organization is a lot of money. If it is used to buy stationery, tables and chairs. Developing countries need to create an infrastructure for waste collection and recycling based on the use of modern technologies. This requires tens of millions. The bankers ticked off the report. Grateful women of the environmental organization report on the collection of 120 kilograms of plastic bottles. Tens of thousands of tons of waste the river will carry into the ocean as before. It is bad when banks buy their way out of the problem of pollution of the earth by solid domestic waste with a certificate for $1 million. It is even worse when banks, large corporations and check-the-box organizations donate money to environmental scammers who successfully exploit the problem of plastic pollution without any real results in the fight against that very pollution. In 2013, adult uncles pushed a young boy to the podium and told him to say out loud, "I know how to clean up the ocean. All it takes is money." Astonished fellow citizens showered the boy with money. The boy's idea was simple: take a net and fish out the plastic. If there is a lot of plastic in the ocean, take a net, hook it to a ship and fish out the plastic. If there is a lot of plastic, take a very big net and hook it to 2 ships. Adult uncles turned the boy's simple ideas into big money. Each trip to catch plastic was accompanied by advertising and big money. High-tech thimbleheads did not shy away from number fraud. £30 million for $30 million. $30 million in donations raised in 1 month. 30 million pounds of plastic waste is 13,620 tons. At that time, the Eco-Con crew brought back 5 tons of plastic waste from a voyage in 1 week. It would have taken them 52 years to catch 13,620 tons. But who thinks of such trivialities when faced with such an important problem as cleaning up the ocean? For reference, 1,500 tons of plastic waste per hour goes into the ocean. In 2013, the boy lied. Since then, the adult uncles and the boy have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in donations and become millionaires. Have they succeeded in cleaning up the ocean? No, they have not. Can the countless volunteers who spend their time and effort cleaning up rivers, coasts and beaches solve the problem of plastic pollution in the ocean? No, they can't. Will the UNEP program help solve the plastic problem with plastic passports and other initiatives? No, it will not. Plastic waste is part of municipal solid waste. The only way to get rid of plastic waste is to solve the litter problem. The only way to solve the MSW problem is to create an infrastructure for waste collection and recycling in all countries. Is it possible to create an infrastructure of waste collection and recycling in all countries of the world, even the most backward ones? Yes, it is possible. Developed countries like Germany, whose economy is export-oriented, are worried. Exports are falling. Germany's economy is growing at a microscopic rate comparable to the economic margin of error. Let me remind you, in 1984, the world's first garbage processing plant was built in Germany, using a new technology of waste recycling. The plant successfully operated until 2015. If you look even further back, in the 30s of the last century, you can see the successful production of hundreds of thousands of tons of synthetic aviation gasoline. Germany could have become a leader in the field of modern waste processing with the method of flameless gasification, a technology that allows environmentally friendly processing of the most dangerous waste, mixed plastics. It could have, but it didn't. The company Siemens stopped its work after an unsuccessful experiment. The RWE company tried it once and stopped. Real, talented engineers who managed to create and obtain all German permits for the use of excellent free-flame gasification reactors were ignored by useless officials. At the same time, do not let them near the problem of waste recycling for the reason discussed above. Mafia showdowns between refuse incinerators and their competitors. Let's imagine, mankind produces 2,500,000,000 tons of solid waste per year. This would require 20,000 modern waste treatment facilities with a capacity of 125,000 tons of solid waste per year. Each plant includes flameless gasification reactors, generators to produce electrical power, and a sorting unit. The cost of the plant equipment is 40 million euros. Germany could have been supplied with orders worth 800 billion euros. Solid waste must be collected and brought to a waste processing plant. Garbage trucks and garbage containers are required. All of the above constitute the infrastructure for the collection and processing of waste. The creation of the infrastructure must be financed. German banks could have provided the financing. Instead of this, empty chatter from politicians. A talented German inventor, the author of excellent reactors with all German approvals for use, writes with bitterness, "We thought that we had invented equipment capable of protecting the planet from pollution. Nobody needs our reactors.